Hey folks, this is Brian. We got to play RQG tonight. It was a short session though, and I was actually stressing pretty hard because the party had gotten back to Clearwine at the end of the last session, and what are they going to do next? And I'm going, oh my god, what is Queen Leika going to have them do next, kind of thing, and how do I get them back onto the trail uh, to finish up the campaign chapter that I'm actually trying to get us done on. And um, I was thinking, maybe she'll send them out to um, go and treat with the dragon newts to see if they can, if she can send troops into their lands to take care of this tower fortress thing off of the creek, because the bandits, that's where they're coming from, right? And so I start freaking out because I know dragon newts are strange, unusual, don't make any sense, that kind of stuff. And going, okay, how do you actually role play dragon newts? And I Googled role playing dragon newts and actually got a couple of hits on. There's one on the BRP post, which actually had some decent suggestions. And then there's on one of those actually pointed to Worm's Footnotes number 14, because there's a dragon newt section there, and that actually got me thinking about what is the size of dragon newt parties? Because if we look at the Hero Quest Heroes of Sartar, is that what it is? No, it's something else, isn't it? The Sartar Companion. There we go. The Sartar Companion, which has a random encounters thing, including the Dragon Newt Wilds. There's a Dragon Newt section in there where you've got a tailed priest, a couple of beaked dragon newts, and a handful of crested dragon newts. But in Worm's Footnotes number 14, they've got a full priest, two tailed priests, like 6 beaked dragon newts, 18 crested dragon newts, plus a bunch of newtling slaves, and a triceratops, and a worm. All this is just, it's practically an army. And then in, I think it's Smoking Ruins, they have a small party. I don't remember how many it has, but there's a dragon newt encounter written up in there too. So that's something got me thinking. I'm like, okay, how to do this, and how big should these things be, and that kind of stuff. But anyway, we didn't get that far. I did retcon. I had them go back and do a scan roll so they could notice something unusual at the cinder pits, because the cinder pits smokes from time to time. It's not constant, but when they were going by, it was smoking, and Restra got a special, so she noticed, that's a lot of smoke. That's more than and she's from around here, so that's more than we normally see from there. So she kind of puts that back in her head and reports to her boss about, hey, I noticed this out of the cinder pits. So from previous session, they turned the two cultists in to the palace. So next day they get called up. Again, you have to wait a little bit, but the queen sent them on a mission. She wants to talk to them. So so there's discussion on what happened and what they find out and that kind of thing. And in the live play, which is in the description, you'll notice how some players started talking about things and other players started popping in different stuff, and then they all said, hey, who's got the best oratory? So David kind of took over at that point, and he did a really good job of reviewing the different sorts of encounters they had with different kinds of bandits and different numbers of bandits in this area. A couple things came out. The Shaker Priestess was actually coming all the way to Clearwine. She had a votive image she was bringing for the temple, the Earth Temple here. So they've actually been expecting her here, not just at Runegate. There was something else that they had mentioned that caught my attention to bring up, but since they're just talking, I was going to interrupt. Maybe I should do that next time. Oh, by the way, Queen Lika, hearing this, shoot, and it was that second one that I remembered that I didn't remember the first. Well, maybe it'll come to me. But anyway, so there's a couple of feedback mechanisms going on. The party does bring up the fact of the giant river dragon, and everybody kind of scoffs. In fact, Queen Lika could care less. And the restaurant got a special on that one too. So oh man, the Queen could care less about that. Okay, nice. A couple of them made in the back, made the normal roll. So it's the guys in the back, the rest of the circle kind of thing going, yeah, right, whatever. Oh, I have to do with. Well, anyway, sorry. So Queen Lika decides, okay, I'm going to beef up the patrols. We'll double the patrols. Just run up and down between Two Sisters and Runegate. See if they can't find more about these bandits. We're going to interrogate these two guys. And she's going to send a delegation to... Oh, I moved the map. The Dragon's Eye. Because she wants to take out this bandit den. But it's in Dragonute lands. So she wants to just, take her band, her army into another territory and have the Dragonutes freak out or do something out of control, right? So that's what she decided to do. Now, I was thinking after the fact that maybe I should pull the party into that, but that would then get us out onto a third string of things that they've got their fingers into that they haven't finished up yet. So we went ahead, cut there, went to do an end of season phase. Actually, where the live play stops is when we decided to start doing end of season phase. There may be a couple things there at the beginning where I go, hey, people need to be listening to the end of season phase again. So I stopped the recording there. And we went through the end of season phase. There was some discussion about training versus research on statistics because David actually paid a trainer to train him over the last 2 seasons. For his strength. So his strength went up by 1, I think it was. And then a couple people had research for various statistics that they got to roll for or roll against. And do the check marks first, then pick your 4 occupation cult skills because I do allow that overlap there. Otherwise, it take forever to get your skills up to where these guys need it for, getting to rune level sorts of stuff. And then there's some discussion from Miriam on, a shaman, because they don't get a lot of money. They can teach spirit magic skills to people, but it takes a week for somebody to learn a spirit magic skill. And so that cuts into time for the rest of the season to get your end of season checks, right? So we had discussion of this later on when I was just dealing with him. So much time, once you get over so much time, once you get over half the season, you're not going to get any check marks for the rest of the season. That's it. You're done. And so that gave them like a week. So Arestra actually studied and learned fanaticism from the Orlanthi Temple. And Miriam taught demoralize to somebody. Somebody wanted to learn demoralize, and So she actually went. We did a couple of spirit travel things for her. First one was for demoralize specifically, which was a 2-point spell, not a 1-point spell. But we ended up fixing that because for me, the way I run, uh, a 1-point spell is held by fairly weak spirits, right? The more points of the spell, the stronger the spirit to have that kind of thing. So, but she got a crit on her first spirit combat, and the spirit actually missed. So she did 13 magic points and only had like 11. So it's out. Give me your spirit magic spell, and she got it, and then went to teach the other guy that. And then we tried another one because she wanted to increase from heal 3 to heal 4. And of course, it's going from a 3-point spirit to a 4-point spirit, which was stronger. And that spirit actually ended up rolling a crit and then a special, and really hurt poor Miriam. So she did her spirit dance to disengage and got away, got back home. So we got to go through that ourselves to get a feel for how that works and how that all stuff works out. There was also a piece of ransom, right? The cultists didn't ransom, and because these are fanatics, they don't pay for anybody, that kind of thing. So, and Arestra volunteered or asked if they decide to kill these two they have here in Clearwine, that she'd be able to do that. And they end up doing that, so she got to execute those two guys. But bandits have no ransom. So they got no money out of the people. But there was gear. There's a couple of these fancy weird swords with this rated edge kind of deal, and they got a couple of these shields that are out of like a shell. And then there was the armor. There's some Kirboli, a couple of Lintharax, a set of plate greaves and van braces, and a heavy scale hauberk. So there was, some armor. Of course, I'm just cut it in half, right? Cut in half. The funky stuff, like this odd things, there's an unusual value to that, so it gave them a little bit more. But, shields are worth pretty much nothing. Which, again, ties back to an issue I have with hide, wood, and wicker shields all having the same hit points. Seriously? The same armor points. Really? A wicker shield can take as much damage as a wooden shield. Really? But, part of that comes from, I think it was actually a Thieves Guild, where they had different shield values based upon the material of the shield itself. Although it may be in Harn. Not that it matters. But anyway, standard shield should be wood covered in leather. Period. Anyway, so they got some cash out of all that stuff. There were these two daggers, because the stuff I'm pulling these guys from have this magic ability with ice daggers, right? And I probably should have just gave them the spell. Now I'm thinking about it, that's what I should have done. I actually had a spell matrix on the dagger itself. So we've got these magic spell, matrices right now. To have somebody cast a rune spell costs 20 lunars per point. But if you're sacrificing permanent power, that's like a one-time rune spell, right? So that's 10 times. So that's 200 per point, and these are 4-point spells. So that's 800. Yeah, 800. 20 times 4 is 80 times 10. 800, yeah. 800 lunars for each of these two daggers. If you can find somebody to buy them. And I think I gave full price on that because this is a spell that's non-standard. It's not Fire Blade, it's Ice Blade, that kind of thing. But, c'est la vie. Maybe I'm going to have the rest of the guys just have the spell. So they'll do it to their own thing. Maybe that's where they fight with daggers, they can do it with their broadswords instead and do some damage there. There's another tangent I will talk about some other time. Happy gaming.